Hello, ChiBizHub family. I'm really excited to be with you here today because we're going to be spotlighting one of the best chambers I think that is out here in Chicago, and that is the Andersonville Chamber of Commerce. We are joined by Mr. David Oakes, who's a representative from there and works there. And I just want to share with you exactly what he does. I mean, when I read this bio, I'm like, wait, I got blown away just knowing everything that he's done, but also how he serves the business community in Andersonville. To share with you, Mr. David Oakes began serving the Andersonville business community in his current role since February 2017. So right there, that shows you a wealth of information. He's worked with Andersonville in multiple capacities over the years, having primarily served as one of Andersonville's farmers market managers since its inception in 2009. I think this is very important because in recent weeks, we've had so many questions about farmers markets and how to have your business there. So this is going to be even great for our conversation. The concierge to the business community, as he is known, David has taken on a high-level economic development, managing the SSA number 22 and co-managing city and ward relations. He comes from a background in environmental science and culinary, and is excited about the out-of-the-box business attraction and community development in Andersonville. Business owners, this is important for you. You can contact David about membership inquiries, obviously for the chamber, available retail space. Another second and very common question for us is like, where can I find that site location for me? Which one's best for me? So you can obviously connect with him for that. Business rebates, SSA incentives, long-term business attraction, SSA boundaries and management, networking and business sector roundtables, business-to-business opportunities, and Eco Andersonville initiatives. What did I tell you? I read that and I'm like, wow, that's just so much. You can hit him up for anything pretty much if you're looking to start your business in Andersonville. A little bit about Andersonville, if you don't know, it is a neighborhood within our Chicago's north side. It's known for its Swedish roots and historic architecture and bustling urban Main Street, Clark Street. When you arrive in Andersonville, you feel you have arrived someplace special. While the roots are Swedish, they are also recognized as the shop local capital of Chicago, supporting the largest network of local and independent businesses in the area. Home to Chicago's largest LGBTQ community, Andersonville is a community full of pride and commitment to equality. Andersonville is for everyone. So thank you again, Mr. David, for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a complete honor, and that was the best intro I've ever had.
I love it.
That was amazing.
Yes. So I want to go ahead and kick us off. Is there anything that I haven't shared about you that you'd like to share with our community, and kind of where your passion comes from to help the Andersonville community, particularly the business community?
Oh, absolutely. So as an LGBTQIA plus member myself, we're all family. It's super important to be mindful and understand where other folks are coming from. And so just as my role as the farmers market manager, you meet so many incredible folks who put it all out there in, I call it exhilarating moments of starting your own business. And so when you get first approached, being like, hey, I make this, it's really special. How do I get myself in that first door of working as a farmer's market? And doing that for over a decade, it's evolved and kind of like steamrolled into brick and mortar in a place like Andersonville, where it's a long history of cultivating small and local and independently owned owners. You really get a sense that you're making a difference because you see the folks who are putting it all on the line to start their own business and have a brick and mortar, and especially in this crazy time where you're constantly being compared to online stores or other brands across the city. But at the end of the day, each business owner is just that. They're people who are doing what they love every single day.
No, I agree. Thank you so much for that, David. To dig a little deeper, actually, since we've shared, obviously Andersonville is very much known for its large presence of the LGBTQ community. And then with your background, can you share with us a little bit about what resources specifically are there for the LGBTQ plus community that are part of our small business ecosystem as well, that the Andersonville Chamber of Commerce provides?
Absolutely. So we have to give a huge shout out to Women and Children First, as they originally started out in Lakeview. And in the 90s, they moved up to Andersonville and really became the cornerstone of gay, lesbian, trans place of a safe space. And from that, along with other business owners, have really developed and made a foothold here in Andersonville over the last almost 30 years. The resources that we provide is we look at our Main Street, our district, as an ecosystem. And within each business, there are different topics that folks really are looking to learn more about or they need help with. So we work with organizations like Hire Trans Now, where right now a lot of folks are looking to hire, and there's an completely incredible group of folks who are looking for jobs. And a lot of maybe mainstream businesses tend to overlook or have the awful stereotypes that they have. So they don't hire. So we work with an incredible group, Hire Trans Now, that's local to Andersonville, to get folks in the stores. So when people are coming to visit, they see themselves reflected in the community, which is huge. We work with a lot of Central Romero and Refugee One, great refugee resources as well, that a lot of folks who come from all over the world feel displaced, especially within our community. So it's another level of a welcoming atmosphere that folks can kind of feel at home here. Other resources, we're great partners with the LGBT Chamber of Illinois. It goes from anything from sexual harassment training that's now mandated by the Illinois. We'll be hosting quite a few sexual harassment trainings, but also include microaggressions, include trans GNC aggressions. The state does a really good job at just giving you the bare minimum when it comes to these. And so it is part of our responsibility to make sure that everyone is trained properly and has the education they need to not be a jerk.
You can say that again. You can say that again. You wouldn't think we needed that, but we do. No, David, I love it. Seriously, you're making me just want to join the chamber with everything that you're sharing with me. And I know now, like, even outside of just being a business owner, I feel like you have resources for the community, period. And that's what they need, right? So can you share with us a little bit about how exactly you go about sharing these resources to the community? So like right now, right, like we have our audience connecting with us. Is it your newsletters? Is it social media? How exactly do you go about that?
We have a very strong marketing presence, and that's greatly due to Joelle Shalia, our marketing director, who has now gone to the Mag Mile because they need all the help they can get. I do not want that job, and they're moving mountains to reestablish Chicago downtown area. But due to her efforts, we have an incredible social media presence with thousands of followers. We highlight businesses, and we're very strategic on how we do that. So we are not a pay-to-play organization where some chambers you just pay a certain amount and we'll just push it out there. Because of a lot of our businesses are local and mom and pop, they don't have all the money. So when you join, it's base fee. You get the same amount as anyone who's coming in with corporate sponsorship or anything like that, because in the end, like, we all need the same resources. Our newsletter goes out to about 15,000 folks with a really high open rate of like 25%. Me not being a marketing person, I was told that, and I was like, oh, and they was like, no, that's great. And I was
It
like,
is
okay.
great. Yeah, I think like the industry standard is like around 23, 24. So that's great.
Oh, really?
You're right. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yep.
I'm learning stuff every day. Um, we were also one of the first chambers, maybe still only the chamber who has a podcast. Um, we highlight our businesses and the folks behind them, the characters who work in their stores or visit their stores. Um, it's called Always Andersonville, the podcast, and it's
That's
fantastic. We're
awesome.
about up to 147 episodes, and we have about
Wow.
30,000 subscribers all over the world. Um,
Wow.
Thanks to our wonderful Swedish culture and heritage, we have folks from Sweden and Stockholm who follow us and listen in every week. So
That's
it's quite incredible.
amazing. Even a whole library of resources, right? Now I'm really interested. Do you mind sharing a little bit of what maybe is covered in your podcast? Is it because some of the questions that I get, right? Like folks want to start their business. So would you say there's some podcasts touching on how do I start my business? Or maybe it's how to find a location specifically in Andersonville, right? Can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So it really, it's you're talking to the folks who were reflected in the listeners. They're individuals who are like, I have this idea and I really want to do something with it. And with that thought becomes a plethora of like, how do I do this? Where do I begin? How
Mhm.
much money does this take? Where do I even go? And so it's incredible that there's chambers all over the Chicagoland area that can help with that. But you kind of go through the learning journey with a lot of our business owners on how they chose Andersonville as the high density of pedestrian counts throughout the week and on the weekends. The different business mix is huge because we
Yeah.
are probably one of the highest density of retail. And we've been ever since we really chose not to go the big box route back in the 90s and early 2000s. And we've remained small. And I think, especially during the pandemic, it's really been our savior.
Yeah.
So, listening to the podcast, you can kind of listen to other people's stories and know that you're not alone.
Yeah. No, I agree. No, it's so true. Sometimes, like, really what you need when you're launching your business is community, like, period. That's all you
Yes,
need. I talked about, before in our previous interviews, just mentorship and being in a community of like-minded individuals. Like, they're going through the same challenges you are because they're trying to, like, start from scratch, right? The small mom and pop. So I completely agree with you. Community kind of makes a difference. And right now, the fact that y'all are exploring through different channels to just get to the community, I think makes the world of difference. Um,
yes. That's actually one of the things that I found out when I first started is people don't really know each other. So we started roundtables. So like
oh,
3 times a year, we'll get everyone from the same sector on, well, now a Zoom, but or in the same room.
wow,
We feed them because I love
that's great.
snacks. Yes. And
Yes.
we just talk about the things that our businesses are going through and how we can be a resource for them. The hiring, HR, legal, all of those things that every business needs, we kind of go through it. And it's the best way that we can do a touch base and really kind of help support our businesses. So it's
Mhm.
just listening and building that community.
Wow, David, honestly, like at first I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be for our business owners, to get to know the chamber. But I feel like even our other chambers can take notes or honestly connect with you, I'm sure, to kind of maybe how they can start these roundtables in their own chamber, right? Serve their own business community and kind of learn from you. So thank you for that. I mentioned a little bit earlier how, I mean, Chicago's reopening, right? So folks who maybe started their business during the pandemic are now looking for a location. Can you share with us what the process may look like if they're going to the Andersonville Chamber of Commerce? They're trying to start their business there. What does the process look like to actually find a location there?
Absolutely. So in Andersonville or anywhere, because let's face it, like um, the city is massive and you want to know like who's your demographic. And so if you're coming to Andersonville and you're looking to open a business, spend the day, whatever your product is, service, retail, dining and attraction, theater, we love theater. Come and spend the day, spend a Saturday between 11 and 4 and get a sense of the feeling of the neighborhood. if you can sit there at the coffee studio, a local coffee house, and be like, you know, this is really my vibe. I have a product that I want to be a part of this community. Awesome. Reach out to the chamber. We can help you find a home, because a lot of it is like dating, where you're kind of connecting with the property owner and the space and make sure everything feels right. Because it's going to be that process where you discover co-tenancies. One of the reasons why our businesses are successful is because you open up a kids store that's right next to Women and Children First, a toy store, Replay, who is the best kids menu in Chicago. They also have arcade games. Like, you kind of plan around how are you going to spend that 4 hours with the family or your customer. So that all comes down and takes into account of your future home. There's other places like Wicker Park or Rogers Park, where I live, is fantastic. Their own sense of community. So spend some time in your own city.
I love that, David. And honestly, you showcase something that I feel like is very unique and beautiful about Chicago, right? Our 77 neighborhoods, we always talk about that, and we strive to ensure that everyone knows a little bit about the taste of each neighborhood. But what you described right now is something critical that I feel like not a lot of business owners know immediately. Like, it's not innate to understand, and it's what you described right now about the children's place being located right next to, like, that kind of strategy between what you're putting around, like how people are going to spend their time, which then contributes to the vibrancy and how and why people know about the neighborhood, right? Like, that's all. It's a little bit of the science between the business, right? But you shared it far more eloquently than I could. But I loved it because it really does describe, I feel like, almost every single neighborhood here in the city of Chicago.
Totally. I mean, on a Friday night, if I want to go on a date with my boyfriend, like, I want to go to a coffee house for early, like, iced tea or something, and sit on a patio, talk, and then go out to a nice dinner, and then go to theater, or just, like, there's so many like buskers and folks on the street playing musician. I want to have that romanticized evening and just spend a wonderful moment in our neighborhood.
Wow.
And it's possible anyway.
I agree. I love it. I love it. I love it, David. So to close us out, can again, we talked about Chicago's reopening. We're here. I mean, we're open. I think it happened last Friday, right? So share with us any events that you have coming up, any way, how folks can connect with you. Again, I know you mentioned you have a strong social media game, but if you don't mind sharing, how they can get plugged into the Andersonville Chamber of Commerce, the community. Yeah, let's go with that.
Absolutely. One most important thing is, because we are open to phase 5, a lot of our retailers still have loved ones at home that are not vaccinated. So you will find that you will have to wear a mask in some of our retailers until the children can get some vaccination support. And then to connect with us, we have so many different ways. Social media is one of them. Our biggest is Instagram and Facebook. We're on LinkedIn as well. We have a neighborhood guide that goes out throughout the city of Chicago. That's like an editorial book. In there, it tells all the stories and histories. So if you want to get a glimpse of the neighborhood or what you'd like to see before you come in, you can always pick up a guide anywhere in our stores, or we'll send one to you. Our website, Andersonville.org, has everything. You can honestly just check us out there. Upcoming events, we're currently planning quite a few. We have our Andersonville Antique Market to celebrate all of our antique dealers that really had a troubled time selling one item at a time on Instagram for the last 15 months. So we're going to bring that out to the street and have downstate donuts pop up. We have coffee and just some of the best vintage in the north side of Chicago. We're also planning homecoming as a celebration, as a thank you to all of the folks who supported our businesses. It's going to be unlike a traditional Chicago festival because we like to be different. It's just going to be a celebration, a block party, and we'll have music and food, and you'll be like you're spending the day at home in the backyard with a barbecue. So it's going to be great.
Wow. Well, I can't wait to be joining in. I'm excited for this summer. Make sure everyone to head out to Andersonville, enjoy the time, enjoy the events, connect with David. You're looking to start your business, this is the person to talk to in Andersonville. And I want to thank you all for joining us and watching these interviews and getting a little bit out of it, to learn about our Chicago neighborhoods and kind of what's going on. Thanks again. And thank you, David, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure. Thank you.